Jay, it's time for the final segment of the show, and the NBA Draft Lottery is commencing this Monday at 7 p.m. Jay and I, we're still trying to work out the specifics about it, but we might be going live during it. I mean, both of our teams are in the Draft Lottery, which is very interesting. So we might be able to go live during the actual Draft Lottery. But what we're going to do here to end off today's episode is we're going to be heading over to the Tankathon website. And the Hitcher for this podcast, we're going to do our own little draft lottery to see how things are going to shape up and like how crazy this draft lottery could be. Because people like we've seen the tank race over the last year. All these teams trying to race to the bottom, but we've seen like situations like last year where the Atlanta Hawks were like the 11th best odds. They jump up to number one and they cause chaos throughout the rest of the draft. Yeah. Jay, how do you feel about this like draft lottery thing like going forward?
So obviously for those listening, this is not us going through pick by pick and going through and actually picking the players for the teams once TV does sim things through. That'll be something that we actually do our own version of the mock lottery after the actual
when the season ends, basically, yeah. Right. And when the season ends, yeah.
We'll so once the order is actually set, that's when we'll start using the actual mock lottery from that point forward. This is obviously more of a response to the kind of chaos that could take place on Monday night. And for me, I think the most interesting thing is going to be there was a lot of different teams that were thrown in with pick protections that are going to be floating around this portion of the portion of the draft. Either falling completely out of the top five, top four protected means that one team has a pick versus another. Depending on the circumstances, I think San Antonio is favorable to have two picks in the lottery, kind of by hook or crook.
I mean, they have the Hawks pick unprotected, so no matter what, they have two teams in the lottery.
Yeah, they have two picks in the lottery, kind of hook or crook. So it kind of just depends on what they want to do and where they land, obviously. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be I think our lottery is just going to give a very good indication of just how chaotic this can be, because obviously we all know the lottery can literally change the trajectory of a franchise for a team, both for good and for bad, depending on which end of the spectrum you end up on once all the ping pong balls fall through. So, TV, I'm ready to spin, man. I'm ready to spin.
Yeah, okay. I'm about to spin it too. Jay, how many times do you want me to spin this?
We're going to go with the good old lucky three, man. We're going to go lucky three, man.
Yeah, and just before I hit these buttons, the Spurs have the Hawks pick. I think like the Hawks have like the Kings pick. I think it was part of like that trade that happened mid-season. And then also the Houston Rockets have the Phoenix Suns pick. This is the problem with the Phoenix Suns. They don't even have their own pick control. So the Houston Rockets have that. So Jay, I'm gonna send this 3 times, and I'm gonna be kind of the Mark Tatum here and see who ends up jumping up. Okay. Jay, with the 14th overall pick, the selection will be made by the San Antonio Spurs. So the Hawks don't move. The Hawks don't move.
Pretty calm.
With the 13th overall pick, the selection will be made by the Sacramento Kings. So nothing changed there. Jay, unfortunately for you, with the 12th overall pick, the Chicago Bulls do not move in the lottery. They stay at 12.
No.
Unfortunately. We're going to move on with the 11th overall pick. And this is what's crazy, Jay. This is like where where I'm telling you that like stuff can go crazy, because with the 11th overall pick, the 11th best odds in this draft is the Dallas Mavericks, and Jay, they move into the top 4.
Oh my god! Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you where they are in the top 4.
Okay.
Which means the Portland Trail Blazers move from number 10 to number 11.
Ouch.
At the number 10 selection, again. Since the Dallas moved up, that means this team moved from number 9 to number 10. The Houston Rockets, via the Phoenix Suns, end up with the 10th overall pick.
Not too bad for them.
The 9th overall pick will now be made by the San Antonio Spurs.
Wow. So they have 9 and 12? Or 9 and 14?
9 and 14, yes.
9 and 14, okay.
They have 9 and 14. Unfortunately for my Toronto Raptors, we end up dropping from the 7th best odds, and we are now selecting with the number 8th overall pick. And Jay, more chaos ensues. If you're a Philadelphia 76er fan, you are absolutely laughing because you have moved up into the top 4 as well. So you don't have to give up your pick. because people were scared that they were going to give up their pick to OKC if they go out of the top 7. They stay in the top. They stay in the top 7, but they also are in the top 4 picks, which is crazy. Which means that the number 7th odds, the New Orleans Pelicans drop from 4 to 7.
Yikes! That sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah.
What even sucks more is that with the 6th overall pick, the Charlotte Hornets drop.
Damn. Oh, that's the worst team to fall out.
And Jay, if that means they drop down to number 6, which means the Brooklyn Nets move into the top 4.
Okay.
So we have 3 teams already, Jay, who are not in those like top 4 odds, just completely jump up.
Wow, that's tough, bro.
And to make matters worse, the worst team in the league, the Utah Jazz, continues the streak of number 1 odd picks, dropping to number 5 because they are drafting number 5.
Damn! Utah at 5 will be I'm Danny Ainge. I'm pissed. Oh, man.
Insane. I'm telling you guys, when the draft lottery like hits, we're going to get some craziness. So, Jay, we're in the top 4. The only team to survive in the top 4 is the Washington Wizards.
Yes, sir. Local squad.
So they survive, which means the Philadelphia 76ers, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Dallas Mavericks all move up.
Wow.
So, going into the top, by the way, before we go into the top 4, who do you think, like, out of the teams that end up dropping, the Utah, Charlotte, New Orleans, who gets the worst?
I think just based off the move down itself, I think. Man, I'm not gonna lie. Utah gotta be pissed, bro. Utah has to be.
Yeah, because not only do they miss out on freaking Cooper Flag, they're probably gonna miss out on Ace Bailey. They're probably gonna miss out on Dylan Harper. All these guys could have helped out as potentially being.
I don't think. I mean, where they land at 5? You say?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even. They might just barely miss off of like VJ Edgecombe even.
Yeah, they might miss out on him. Like they might have to settle for someone like a Derek Queen or something.
Man, yeah. I mean, and that's not a bad settle, but for them, for them, they've constantly had. This is now another year where they might be coming out of the draft without a true foundational piece, and that's tough for a team that's kind of been sitting around. Kind of another Danny Ainge team with a treasure trove of draft picks and not necessarily a whole lot to show for them just yet. This is kind of one of those situations where if he's planning on doing it all through the draft, it ain't hitting the way it was hitting up Boston, man.
Yeah, exactly. He's not getting that luck that he got with getting the Jaylen Browns and the Jason Tatums, unfortunately. So the Utah probably got it worse there, especially because this was like their first season under 20 wins in their franchise history. Yeah. They come out with the number 5 pick. Pistons fans feel you, Utah. Pistons fans feel you. But Jay, we're gonna move into the top 4.
Okay.
With the 4th overall pick, the selection will be made by the Brooklyn Nets.
Ooh, if I'm the Nets, I'm hurt, bro.
Hey, they were 6. They had the 6 best odds. They moved up.
They had the 6 best odds, bro. But I look at the other teams in that group, bro. It's me and the Wizards. We're the most deserving, bro. We're the most deserving.
I know what you mean.
If I'm Nets fans, I'm salty because like what? All right, keep going. Now I'm really locked in.
With the number 3 pick, the selection will be made by the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay.
The 76ers. Hey, look, if you get the leftover of either Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, or Cooper Flag, you're going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, the other thing that'll be interesting is like if they end up getting Dylan Harper, like that guard room is going to be kind of like weird.
It's funny because if you get Dylan Harper, you have yet another guard in that backcourt, but which could be good or bad depending on how you view it. But I think the other side of it is you have to ask yourself, how does Ace Bailey fit into your makeup, given the fact that he's kind of best as an on-ball isolation scorer and like.
It's weird. It's weird, yeah.
You gotta give Joel touches. You gotta let Tyrese.
Oh, George.
Paul George obviously is still at your wing spot. Like, is Paul George now your 2 on this team, dating back to his Indiana Pacers days? Like, what does this look like? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's just gonna be more chaotic. It's gonna be talented. They're gonna still be a very talented team, but it's a very chaotic bunch. No matter if they end up in the top 3, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but Jay, top 2. With the number 2 overall pick, the selection will be made by the Washington Wizards.
No, you're lying.
Means.
You're lying.
the number one overall pick, the winner of the Hit Your Free Throws NBA Draft Lottery, Nico Harrison. You have been saved.
No
The
way.
Dallas Mavericks get the number one overall pick. Imagine the
What?
scenes. Imagine the
If
scenes.
not only would the Wizards losing the top pick to the Dallas Mavericks be the biggest slap in the face, but you know how vindicated Nico Harrison would feel coming out of the draft, knowing that he was able to walk himself in to another great white hope in Dallas. Like, that is so unfair, bro.
He doesn't deserve this. If
He
this
does not.
out of every team that we say that doesn't deserve, the Dallas Mavericks turning on Luka just to get the number one overall pick is nasty work. And what's hilarious about this whole situation too, if this happens, by the way, this is such a bad, this is crazy odds because they're the 11th like best odds in this entire thing. So
Yeah.
very like Atlanta Hawks-esque,
Yeah.
very much. Anthony Davis got like hit with the same thing back in the day because like when he got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers in the offseason, they ended up just getting the first overall pick and getting Zion.
Yeah.
So like,
Wow.
yeah,
But you know what's crazier? Cooper Flag would give fan base optimism for that franchise in a season where they're going to miss most of the year without Kyrie Irving. And you can make an argument that he's a pretty damn good offensive and defensive fit next to Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson.
no, it's a great fit. It's a
Which
great
is like the scary part. Is like even though you hate it from a more moralistic standpoint, in terms of the fact that like Nico Harrison just does not deserve this kind of dap, you also look at it and say, damn, but it kind of fits though. Like you almost want to see it.
We're not manifesting this cannot happen.
Bro, you almost want to see it because you're like, yo, this could be hard. But at the other end of the spectrum, you also go, they didn't deserve this. Also, on the flip side of the spectrum, I also want to throw out there Wizards bias because they're my local team. TV, we said it before, man. Can we get some damn superstars in the East, please? Please.
No, if
Please.
pulls this off and overtakes the Wizards, Utah, Charlotte, and New Orleans after the horrendous seasons they've been through.
Wow.
I mean, insane.
That's insane. TV, when we said lucky number 3 to get ourselves an interesting role for the lottery, bro, I did not see that coming, bro.
No, like
Dallas number 1 would be one of the craziest NBA storylines we've ever seen in terms of putting a handful of sequences together, bro. What?
I don't know. Yo, when I hit the third time and I see the number 1 is Dallas, I'm like, no, please. I know. Like, I didn't want this to be, even like, I know this is fake. But I just didn't want this to be true. I'm like, please. Like, if this actually happens in real life, like, I don't know what I would like. I don't know, imagine us being live and seeing that actually play out. Like, I think we would like just be dying of laughter knowing that we like predicted this on the pod.
Okay, so TV, I'm gonna ask you a question, and this is what we're gonna end the pod with.
Yeah.
We're gonna end the pod with this little mini discussion.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be optimistic because that's too easy. That's too easy. So we're gonna be pessimistic here.
Okay.
Okay. What are your 3 worst outcomes for the lottery in your eyes in terms of whether it's number 1 overall, who goes number 1 overall, a team that drops completely far down, a player that you think fits on a perfect squad that you just know is not going to get drafted there? What's like your 3 worst possible outcomes you think that like if this happens, this draft lottery going suck,
Okay.
bro.
Okay, here I'm gonna give you like 3 things that like kind of like different perspectives of mine.
Okay.
As a Raptor fan, as a fan of the game, the worst possible thing that can happen is the Philadelphia 76ers keep their pick.
I agree wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly agree. We are hating over here.
We are hating over here.
Yes.
I'm an absolute Philadelphia 76ers team hater.
Yes.
I want to see like after the most disastrous season they've been through that they still have to give that pick to the Thunder.
Yes.
That would be insane.
Yes, I agree.
Another thing that I think that would be absolutely horrendous. I think honestly for like a Phoenix Suns fan, is it this team if this somehow like ends up in like the top 4?
Oh wow, yeah, it would be Phoenix's, right?
So it's Phoenix,
it would be
Houston's.
It would be Houston's that jumps to top 4.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's the ninth best odds.
Yeah.
If I'm Houston, I would be livid.
Wow.
I would be livid. Like, imagine like going through like all this, having to trade away Kevin Durant eventually, and having no control of your picks, and then the Houston Rockets already with their sick young core get to add someone like a VJ Edgecombe, as Ace
Yeah.
Bailey, someone like that. That's insane.
Yeah, if I'm Phoenix, I'm definitely sick about that. I'm not gonna lie. Because if I'm
Especially if they get someone like Dylan Harper to now replace like a Fred VanVleet down the line. Like, come on now.
because now you just created cap flexibility because maybe you let Fred walk. Like,
Yeah,
wow, like you did just trickled it down.
yeah,
That's
that'd be
tough,
horrible. That
bro.
would be disgusting. And then honestly, Jay, I think our draft lottery did it. If the Mavs move all the way down to all the way to number one, as the Hawks did. Remember, this isn't the out of the complete realm possible.
Yeah,
We saw this with
yeah,
the Hawks last year, who were, they missed. They played the play-in game. They lost the first one, and then jumped up to number one.
yeah,
So there's a precedent for this.
yes.
So if that happens, I don't know how I'd feel, bro. Like honestly, like this has already been a crazy playoffs, a crazy trade deadline. It's like probably the craziest like off the court NBA season. Now you're adding the on the court stuff too.
Yeah.
This would be like the craziest 6 months of NBA basketball ever if that happens.
I think that would be. I mean, literally. First of all, biggest slap in the face ever. Let's start there because like biggest slap in the face ever. Period. Point blank. I just think that would be wild. But here's the one that I'm gonna throw out.
Yeah.
That is the one I would maybe pivot as my third.
Yeah.
I think we agree on Philly and we agree on Dallas. My
Yeah.
third, my true third worst case scenario, as much as I want this team to grow, TV, if the San Antonio Spurs have two
Yeah,
picks in the top eight,
no.
if the San Antonio Spurs have two picks in the top eight, bro, and they make the freaking Avengers of
Yeah,
Rookie of the Years.
the Avengers young core, like we're talking about the young Avengers over here just building in San Antonio on for
like,
draft picks alone.
like, dog, what? Like, you gotta think if they get if they get two top eight picks, that would mean that like, dude, that would mean that like at least one or two Eastern Conference teams would get bumped out of the top five. Like, oh my gosh, bro. That would be if Dallas. Wow, there's a universe, bro, where the Western Conference will be so cracked out that Adam Silver would have to get rid of conference. like there's a universe where like if Cooper Flag goes to Dallas, you just have to scrap conferences, dog. Like what do you do to make the East any better? And no disrespect to Dylan Harper, no disrespect to Ace Bailey, no disrespect to VJ Escombe. I'm just talking about in terms of what you talk about generational hype around prospects. Like if you're talking about like viability, wanting all eyes on these young players, like the West is stacked. You go through in the Western Conference. I'm just gonna use the lottery itself. New Orleans still has Zion. Don't know how long that's gonna last, but still got Zion. San Antonio, they got Wemby. Phoenix, at the end of the day, they still got Devin Booker.
I mean, that's Houston's pick though, and they have freaking like
And
the roster.
yeah, Houston, and that's Houston's pick. Houston looks amazing. Amin Thompson is looking like a top 10 player in his position already and might be dangerous next year. That doesn't even count for the fact that this team might mess around and have money going into the summer. Dallas would have Cooper Flag. Portland is a young and rising team, and people are coming on to the Tumani Kamara train, and we still like the development of Scoot Henderson and those young guys over there. Sacramento, that's probably where there's a little bit of a drop off. But
Utah, in Utah, there's like
and Utah, but Memphis still has Triple J and John Morant. Golden State still has Curry. Minnesota has Ant Edwards. The Lakers have Luka. Like Denver has Jokic.
Basically,
has Shea.
Basically just stole lifeline to the East, please.
I mean, Jesus, bro. I mean, the East Coast. You're gonna have to move all the East Coast times to West Coast time viewings just for us to be able to get any good TV play. Because like everyone's gonna want to watch Western Conference games, bro.
Yeah, insane, bro. Crazy way. And we said before like the segment started that like some crazy stuff could happen, obviously, in the draft. And if this like ends up happening, I think NBA social media would break for like the third time this year, maybe the fourth time already this season.
Facts.
So it would be crazy. We might be locking in through NBA live through a live stream that day. So be sure to look out for that. That is the NBA draft lottery. Let us know like what are your guys' worst case scenarios down below as well. We want to hear all of that because what we simulated there could end up being could end up being an NBA the NBA nightmare.